Welcome to another episode of Mike's Money Picks. Today on the podcast, we are going to be breaking down the Underdog Pup Cup drafts, which I know it's an odd name, but this is their FedEx Cup Playoff best ball drafts that they have at Underdog. It's a big tournament, $10 entry with a big prize pool up top. So we're going to be breaking down here on this show what the format is, how you can take advantage of that format to build the best roster, who should be some players that you consider, how should you consider the strategy for building this roster, and we're going to do a live draft here at the end of the show. So pretty much everything you're going to need to know to win the Pup Cup, you're going to have here in this show. Now keep in mind, we are recording this super duper early. Believe it or not, my preview for the Open Championship is going to come out tomorrow. So certainly some things are going to change here in these drafts in between now and when the contest starts. And we're going to go over what we expect some of those to be here on this show. So that way, maybe this episode can be a little evergreen. And no matter when you're watching it, as long as it's before the start of the FedEx Cup playoffs, it can help you out. Now, reminder, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel. That way you can be with us for the rest of the PGA Tour season, as well as all of our NFL and college football content. And if you like best ball drafts, we have plenty of content for NFL and college football for that as well. And please, please, please like the video on YouTube as well as rate and review the audio. It really does help me out a ton when you guys do that. If this is any help to you, please hit the like button so that way I can know that it did help you. And also, if you want to, give me or ask me any questions, just shout me out, whatever, on Twitter at Mike's Money Picks. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or talk about any strategy as we get closer to when this contest actually starts. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the format and the strategy of the Pup Cup. All right, so here is the basis of the Pup Cup. So basically, the Pup Cup is a 10-round, 6-player draft that you're going to join a lobby, you're going to join a draft, and you're going to draft 10 rounds with the 6 of you, and you're going to have you're going to have 6 players drafting 10 golfers, which gives you 60 total picks, right? Now, I stumbled over my words for a little bit there, but I hope you guys get the picture. So the FedEx Cup Playoffs is 70 golfers. In this event, the Pup Cup is going to continue through the duration of the FedEx Cup playoffs, right? So the FedEx St. Jude Invitational, the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs, has 70 golfers in it. The BMW Championship has 50 golfers in it. The Tour Championship has 30 golfers in it. The same concept is going to apply to your Pup Cup draft room, where you're going to have to win your draft room for the FedEx St. Jude Invitational if you want to advance to play in the BMW Championship, and then you're going to have to advance from another room to play for the grand prize at the Tour Championship. So here's the bottom line. 6 golfers are going to count for your score out of the 10 that you draft each and every week. So do you have to hit home runs with all 10 of your picks? No, you just need 6 good ones. But what that means is you have 0 chance of winning the Pup Cup overall if you don't have 6 guys in your roster that make the Tour Championship. And theoretically, with 30 guys making the Tour Championship, that means that there are going to be 5 rounds of golfers that are theoretically going to make the Tour Championship, because that's theoretically the top 30, 5 times 6. So what you have to have happen is you have to have a little bit of an anticipation for who is going to play well at these courses and play well in these events in order to make it to the end, right? Now, what's unique is we're recording this in the middle of July. The FedEx Cup playoffs do not start for another 4 or 5 tournaments. So what's interesting is if you do a draft right now, there's a chance that you could draft somebody who does not even make the FedEx Cup playoffs. For instance, we're looking at the top 30 right now. Sam Burns is ranked 30th. It's pretty safe that Sam Burns is going to get in the FedEx Cup playoff being ranked 30th. I don't think 40 guys are going to pass him to get in the playoffs. But if he doesn't play a lot of events, or if he doesn't play well at the FedEx St. Jude and at the BMW, then he could very easily get past and not make it to the Tour Championship. Similar concept for the guys that are 30 to 50. Similar concept for the guys that are 50 to 70. Now, I do want to shout out a few guys that are ranked 50 to 70 that I think are trending in the right direction. So Minwoo Lee has played outstanding for the last 2 months. He just hasn't played a whole lot of events. He is playing in Scotland this week. If I had to venture a guess, I would say that he's probably going to play in the 3M or the Wyndham, so that way he can get some extra FedEx Cup points. He sits at 55th right now in the FedEx Cup standings, but I think it is highly likely that he elevates that by the time the FedEx Cup playoff starts. And I think the same thing about Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai is kind of on his Linsanity run right now. He's playing the best golf of his career. If you think that he continues it throughout the duration of the FedEx Cup playoffs, then this is a great spot to draft Aaron Rai because he is currently 57th in the standings. so he is sitting squarely in the FedEx Cup playoffs. But if he continues his great play, he is going to elevate himself into the top 50 and into the top 30. Now, interestingly enough, we got to talk about the bubble because Aaron Rye is 57th. 58th is Taylor Moore. 59th is Jordan Spieth. 60th is Mark Hubbard. Those are currently the last three guys that are in the FedEx Cup, or I'm sorry, the FedEx Cup playoffs ends at 70. My bad. The last three guys that end in the FedEx Cup playoffs right now are Lucas Glover, Adam Scott, and Adam Schenk, with Victor Perez, Andrew Putnam, Nikolai Højgaard, Justin Lauer, and Keith Mitchell sitting just on the outside looking in. Now, again, I am recording this during the Scottish Opens. There's still three more events, where guys can accumulate FedEx Cup points in order to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. So basically, here's what this amounts to. If you're going to draft a guy from down here, then you need to have faith that they are going to play in events and up their game in order to qualify for the FedEx St. Jude Championship. And then you're going to need them to play well in the FedEx St. Jude Championship in order to reach the BMW Championship. Now, with the time of drafting, there comes with a little bit of risk, a little bit of reward. Obviously, if you're listening to this, either before, during, or after the Wyndham Championship, which is the last event in the FedEx Cup regular season, then you're going to have a much clearer picture of who's going to get in the FedEx Cup playoffs and who's not. But also, everybody that you're drafting with is going to have a much better picture of who's going to get in the FedEx Cup playoffs and who is not. So if you think that you have an edge in long-term predicting who's going to play well in the PGA Tour season, then you need to draft as soon as possible, because you can buy guys when they're on the way up as opposed to after they are already up, and hope that your opponents are going to draft some guys who are going to fall out of the FedEx Cup playoffs in between now and then, and give yourself an advantage, because the last thing you want to do is enter this thing with only 9 guys in the FedEx Cup playoffs as opposed to everyone else having 10. Now, there is a matter of, not just drafting the guys that make the FedEx Cup playoffs, but we need guys that are going to be good when they get there, right? So what I want to look at is the 3 courses that we are going to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs: TPC Southwind for the FedEx St. Jude, Castle Pines for the BMW, and East Lake for the Tour Championship. Who are guys that play well at those courses? Well, Will Zalatoris, in 2 appearances at the FedEx St. Jude, has finished 8th and 1st. If he makes it, it would stand to reason that he would have a very good chance at playing well, even though he is not currently playing all that well as I'd record this in the middle of July. Tom Lewis is not currently playing on the PGA Tour. I would not worry about him. He is 2nd in course history at the FedEx St. Jude, though. Daniel Berger is 3rd with a T2 and a T5. If he makes the FedEx Cup playoffs, then that's certainly a good spot for him. Dustin Johnson is on live. Disregard him. Justin Thomas is probably the guy with the biggest substantial sample size that plays historically well at TPC Southwind. He's played here 4 times, never missed a cut, never finished worse than 26th, and has a win on the docket. Sahith Theegala has played here each of the last 2 years, finished 13th both times. Colin Morikawa has played here 4 times, never finished worse than 26th either. So there's a lot of guys with some pretty interesting history here at the FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Let's carry over now to East Lake, because we got to do something different for Castle Pines. So when it comes to East Lake, the undisputed king of East Lake is Xander Schauffele. In each of the last 5 years, he has finished no worse than 5th at the Tour Championship. Also, it's really hard to calculate strokes gained at the Tour Championship because of how they do starting strokes. Underdog does not take the starting strokes into account. So you're not going to get points based off their finishing position. You're going to get points based off of how many actual strokes they took to finish the round. And Xander is simply the best when it comes to East Lake. So he is going to make a compelling case to be a very top of the line first round pick because of his historical performance at East Lake. If you were able to make it to East Lake, you want Xander Schauffele on your team. Wyndham Clark is another guy that has played well at East Lake. He finished 3rd here last year. Let's see. Victor Hovland, been at East Lake 4 times, won the Tour Championship last year, coming from behind. So I do think that Victor's pretty good at East Lake, as is Rory. He has won, I believe, 3 total Tour Championships, tends to play well here every year. Justin Thomas has played well here pretty much every time. I'm trying to look for some guys with actual sample size here. Adam Schenk was very good at this event last year, as was Russell Henley. Sepp Straka has been pretty good at East Lake. Max Homa has been pretty good at East Lake. So those are some names to consider there that have played well at East Lake. Now, I mentioned that Castle Pines is a brand new golf course for the PGA Tour. So basically, here's what we know about Castle Pines. It is a par 72. It is a Jack Nicklaus design, and it is going to be played in Colorado in the altitude. So even though it looks like a long distance on the scorecard, it is not going to play for a super long course. Now, what I did was I went on betspertsgolf.com, their tool called the Rabbit Hole, and I made a quick little model for Castle Pines. What I looked at was strokes gained for courses that are shorter than average, strokes gained at Jack Nicklaus courses, strokes gained at par 72s, and strokes gained in strong fields. Evenly weighted all 25% across the board. And what it popped out was Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Collin Morikawa, Jon Rahm. You can disregard that. He is on LIV. Do not draft Jon Rahm in the Pup Cup. But I use the Open Championship field because all the top names are in it. Rory McIlroy 5, Ludwig Oberg 6, Tyrrell Hatton 7. You can skip that one as well. Victor Hovland 8. Patrick Cantlay 9, Christian Bezadenhout 10, Siwoo Kim, Russell Henley, Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, and Sahith Theegala rounding out the top 15. Denny McCarthy popping up at 18 with a good history at Jack Nicklaus courses as well. And then Wyndham Clark popping up at 19 with a great history on par 72 tracks. So those are some early names that you can consider for Castle Pines. So all the names that we just talked about, I would be inclined to give them a little bit of a bump and think that they're going to play above their baseline and above where we think that they are going to be at these three events. All right, so now that we've talked about the timing, the format, the strategy, the courses, let's go ahead and let's join a live draft and let's. All right, so we have joined a draft, and after a few minutes of waiting, we finally have a full draft lobby, and now we are about to draft. And we got the 3 slot, which I actually like because the 3 slot guarantees me one of the big 3: Scheffler, Schauffele, McIlroy. So I think the 3 spot is a great spot to draft from. I'm going to honestly be content with whichever one of the 3 of them falls to me. Obviously, I would prefer Scheffler over the other 2 just because he is clearly the best golfer in the world, but I will be content with either Xander or a Rory falling to me at 3. Given the choice between the 2 of them, I'd probably take Xander, but I'm really ecstatic that I'm getting one of the 3. If I had to be honest, one thing I would recommend with this contest is doing multiple drafts simply because you really never know who's going to be the guy that you had to need. Like last year, I don't think anybody really saw it coming that Victor Hovland was going to rattle off the BMW Championship and the Tour Championship in back-to-back weeks. So if you do multiple drafts from multiple spots, you're going to naturally get exposure to some of the guys like Victor Hovland that you just may not have gotten exposure to if you just did 1 or 2 drafts. So the start of this draft has gone pretty chalky. I kind of narrated over the first round, but Scheffler, Schauffele went 1 and 2. I took Rory number 3. Collin Morikawa has gone number 4. Ludwig Oberg has gone number 5. And I got to say, that's exactly how I would rank the top 5 right now. And I would be kind of surprised if it ended up being another order by the time that the FedEx Cup Playoffs started. Wyndham Clark has now gone 6th, and I got to say, I really would like Tony Finau to drop to me to pick 10. I think Tony Finau's ball striking lately has been incredible. I've been on the record for saying that I think he is going to win before the summer is over. So let's see if we can get him to fall 3 more picks to me at number 10. Well, Justin Thomas has just gone number 7. He was honestly a backup plan that I was considering if Finau didn't fall to me. Right now, sitting in front of me are Patrick Cantlay, who was just drafted at 8. And now Hideki Matsuyama is sitting at the top of the board on Underdog, and I really hope that Tony Finau can fall to me at 10, and I will feel pretty confident about a McIlroy Finau start. Yep, Sahith Theegala just went number 9. Totally understandable as a pick, but I'm going to take Finau here at number 10. And I would love to either get Victor Hovland or Akshay Bhatia to fall back to me, although I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen. That's just the 2 that I would prefer. What I'm really doing with my strategy right now is I'm really looking for guys who are striking the ball well. I think that's probably the thing that's the most sustainable from drafting it now, to a team that's not going to be used until like the 1st of August. So I got 2 guys in McIlroy and Finau. McIlroy, clearly one of the top 3 players in the world. Finau, one of the best ball strikers in the world right now. So at the end of the 2nd round, Matsuyama and Bhatia have gone. Shane Lowry has gone with the first pick of the 3rd round. So now that I can't get Bhatia, I would be ecstatic to get Victor Hovland here at 15. And the guy in front of me drafted Fleetwood, so I'm going to take Victor Hovland. And I know Victor Hovland has not had a great season so far, but His ball striking is trending back in the right direction, and he has great history at Eastlake. And, he won the BMW championship last year. I know it's not the same course, but very clearly he had a way for his game to peak around this time last year. So I feel pretty confident getting him at 15 that that's going to be a pretty solid selection. And I'm really hoping that this ends up being a unique build and that by the time the contest starts, Victor Hovland is not viewed as a third-round pick, that he's viewed as maybe a first or a second-round pick. And I've got some uniqueness on the field in that regard. Ben An went right behind me at the 16 spot, followed by Sung J M. So we've got a few more picks before it comes back to me. I am eyeing Tom Kim or Sepp Straka. If they could get back to me, don't really have a whole lot of faith in that, but those are the two that I'm looking for. For context, last year I did, because of the timing of when they released the contest last year, I only did 2 of these drafts last year. I was in the middle of football season starting when these drafts were going down. This year I'm not coaching football, so I have a little bit more time to do some drafts. But last year I was able to get one team through to the BMW championship, but it did not make it to the Tour championship. What ended up happening was I just didn't have Victor Hovland at the BMW, and then the other team that I drafted just played like crap in the FedEx St. Jude and didn't end well for me. So I'm hoping that this being the first team that I've drafted this year, I'm hoping that we can get on the right track here with this one and end up playing well. So because I have been narrating, Tom Kim went at the 18 spot, followed by Pavone, Henley, and Homa back to me at 22. And I'm going to very happily take Sepp Straka. He's at his best at courses like TBC Southwind, where driving accuracy is necessary. And not to spoil too much about my Open Championship preview for tomorrow's episode, but I happen to think that Sepp Straka is a really good play at the Open Championship, and a good Open Championship from Sepp Straka should increase his draft status as well. So I'm hoping that with the guys I'm drafting right now, McIlroy, Finau, Hovland, and Straka, I'm hoping that Finau, Hovland, and Straka are going to elevate their status in between now and the start of this tournament, and I end up with a very unique build. All right, now coming back to me. Davis Thompson and Brian Harman have gone at the end of the 4th round. Christian Bezadenhout started the 5th round. Cameron Young was next. And now I am kind of caught with my pants down here a little bit. I do not know who I'm going to take. 9 seconds. I'm going to go back to the ball striking narrative. I'm going to go with Corey Connors. I think if I had a little, maybe if I wasn't narrating so much, maybe I could have had a little bit more time to think, but that's okay. Connors at 27, I can feel okay about that. I think if I had to do over again, I might have taken Siwoo Kim, but we'll be okay. Tom Hoge has gone, pick 28. Sam Burns, pick 29. This is a very ambiguous range right here. There's a lot of these guys I would value to be quite even. Corey Connors, for instance, the guy that I just took, he's currently sitting at 31st in the FedEx Cup standings. So if he just plays well in the FedEx Cup playoffs, he should absolutely make the Tour Championship. Anyway, after I picked Connors, it is quickly coming back to me. Hoge went at pick 28. Sam Burns picked 29. Thomas Dietrich picked 30. I actually really like that Dietrich pick. And so now we've got, once this pick autos, there'll be 2 more before me. Chris Kirk has gone next. And I might be able to get Siwoo Kim at pick 34. Yeah, that's the plan. If I can get Siwoo Kim, I'm gonna be really happy. Steven Yeager is currently the top guy on the board, and if this guy autos, which I expect him to, oh no, he took Jason Day and not Steven Yeager. Okay, so Jason Day just went 32. Pick 33 is going to be hopefully not Siwoo Kim. He took Steven Yeager, so I'm going to take Siwoo Kim, and I'm going to get both the guys that I wanted. Really like Siwoo Kim at Bermuda courses, and also Siwoo Kim, one thing that's really interesting if you're concerned about his positioning in the FedEx Cup standings now, he is historically one of the best players at the Wyndham Championship, which is the last event for the FedEx Cup playoffs. So he is certainly going to play his way up the board that week, or at least we think he will, and then roll right into TBC Southwind, which is a great course fit for Siwoo. All right, now Robert McIntyre has gone 35, Matt Fitzpatrick 36. Which leaves me with 2 more picks before it gets back to me, and I've got a lot of options. Interesting conundrum here. Will Zalatoris just went 37. That's actually a guy that I was going to consider. Minwoo Lee has gone 38. That is actually who I was really kind of honing in on. I'm going to go with Denny McCarthy. And I know that might be a little bit of an outside the box selection to some, but Denny McCarthy, historically good at Jack Nicklaus courses for Castle Pines. And also, he is simply the best putter of the golf ball in the world, in my opinion. And anytime you have a guy that has a marketable skill like that, there's a chance that he just puts in everything and goes nuclear. Just like, if you play Bryson in DFS, there's a chance that he just hits every drive to 400 and has it really easy. Or, you play Scotty Scheffler and he just hits everything to 2 feet, right? Like if a guy's the best in the world at something, there's a chance for him to just go nuclear in that one aspect. And so Denny McCarthy at 39, I've got a guy who can get hot if need be. JT Poston has gone at pick 40, followed by Keegan Bradley at 41. And my favorite pick, if he could get back to me, would be Aaron Rye here in this next round. Taylor Pendrith has gone 42, so I've got 3 picks in between me and the guy drafting right now. And if I can get Aaron Rye, I will feel really good because Aaron Rye, I mentioned earlier, he's kind of on his Linsanity run right now. He is playing some really good golf, the best golf of his career, and I expect it to continue. He's doing it in a very sustainable way. He's still gaining a ton of strokes in the ball striking categories. So if he is able to keep that up through the FedEx Cup playoffs, and I'm going to get myself a steal. He just got taken at pick 44. Dang it. All right. So now back to the drawing board, and I am going to be back up here in just a second. Let me see if there's anybody in the course history piece that I can find. Not exactly. Cameron Davis has gone right before me. You know what? I'm just going to take Jordan Spieth. And I'm just going to trust that Spieth's talent will get him on the right side looking in by the time the FedEx Cup playoffs start, and trust that Spieth's talent will get him through to the later rounds of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Just looking at what was available to me at the board, I didn't like a lot of what was sitting at the top, and so I don't mind going with Jordan Spieth at what is now an ADP bargain because his ADP was 39, and I got him at pick 36. Now, 2 guys that I was actually eyeing just went 47 and 48, so that kind of hurts. Ben Griffin, 47, Austin Eckroat, 48, Alex Noren, 49 to start the 9th round. And with 2 rounds left, we are almost done, actually. I'm going to go with Seamus Power here at pick 51. This is a guy whose ball striking is really good right now. And I feel pretty good about him making the FedEx Cup playoffs. Right now, he currently sits at 62. So he's currently in that range where he should make the playoffs. And if he plays well in the FedEx St. Jude, then he should be on to the BMW Championship. Now, got one more pick, and this is where you can get a little bit creative. You're going to want to make sure that you, with this early on in the drafting season, with there being so much golf to play in between now and the start of the FedEx Cup playoffs, you can get a little bit different with this pick. One guy that I think I'm looking at right now is going to be Taylor Moore. Taylor Moore, much like Denny McCarthy, a guy that can get supremely hot with the putter. He's also a really good driver of the golf ball. And to me, those 2 skills tend to play well at Nicklaus courses. And so hopefully maybe he can be a guy that can show up at Castle Pines and play well. He is currently 58th in the FedEx Cup standings. So as long as he doesn't tank in between now and then, he should definitely make the FedEx Cup playoffs and can definitely make the later rounds of the FedEx Cup playoffs if he plays well. Trying to see if there's anybody else further down the board that I might like. And I'm seeing a lot of guys that just aren't currently qualified. So like if you have strong convictions about a guy, this would be a time to take him right now. To just think that the guy's going to play themselves in, like maybe, I don't know, like a Doug Gim or a Ryohei Satsune or a Ryan Fox. Like if you have strong convictions about somebody, the 10th round's a time to take them. And I'm going to take Taylor Moore and feel pretty good about it and feel pretty good about my entire roster. The end of the 9th round was Cole, Horschel, Taylor, followed by Jake Knapp, Harris English, Patrick Rogers to start the 10th. I took Taylor Moore at pick 58. Guy behind me took Nikolai Højgaard at pick 59. I actually really like that pick as well. I think he's supremely talented. I don't know what his travel schedule is going to look like, though, and if he's going to play enough golf to get himself into the field. But that is how our draft ended up. So hopefully that gave you a pretty good picture of what a draft looks like and how your kind of strategy should look like thinking and how we go through the draft. But I feel pretty confident that I've gotten some guys who As I record this very early in the draft season, I'm hoping that all these guys, their stock is going to go up in between now and the time of the actual start of the FedEx Cup playoffs. And I will have a roster that is constructed now that could not be constructed later on in July or the start of August. But here's the bottom line. That's not going to mean anything if they don't go out and play well. So I have successfully given myself a roster that if they go out and play well, should be a unique build, should be a combination of players that no one else has, and is a combination of players that I feel pretty good about their form heading into the FedEx Cup playoffs. I don't always think that my live drafts turn out well, but that one I actually really do. Was happy to get the 3 pick, was happy to get the combination of Rory Finau. Really like getting my guy Taylor Moore at the end as well. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode, guys. If this helped you out in any way with the Pup Cup draft, then please hit the like button on YouTube. Please rate and review the audio. And also go ahead and subscribe to us because we've got a ton of other best ball content for NFL, college football. And then once the regular season starts, we're going to have NFL and college football content as well. If you're watching this on release date, our Open Championship preview is going to be out tomorrow. If you're watching this after the Open Championship, whatever tournament's going on this week, we will have a preview coming out. Generally, they come out on Monday nights. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and you can be here with us before that. But other than that, hopefully this was able to help you guys out. I love this best ball draft format. I really do enjoy it. Hopefully you guys too, and hopefully this was able to give you guys some information that is going to help you win the Pup Cup on Underdog Fantasy. Thank you guys for watching and listening to this point. Have fun drafting. Best of luck to you in the Pup Cup, and I will see you guys next time.